In this video, you will learn to describe the second major factor that contributed to the rise of cybersecurity attention in the U.S.
The next step or the next big thing that happens that changed almost everything for the last 20 years was the 9/11. The 9/11 obviously was something physical, was a couple of planes that crashed into the Twin Towers in New York. But one of the things that the U.S. government tried to understand also was, first of all, how this could happen, how the coordination between different parts happens, and what happened if there is a 9/11, but not necessarily on the physical world, but on the technology, something like the destruction of the power plant or the destruction of the electricity network or the power network into or in any major or important city. And one of the important things to keep an eye on right now it's the use of technology of for almost anyone. So basically anyone right now has a cell phone. Anyone can access data, anyone can upload and download data from the internet. And we are going to talk about this specific topic in a couple of minutes, but that's something all important to understand. We have access to the technology. In those years, in the Reagan years, not everybody has access to that technology, but right now, anyone could actually start an attack using their cell phone, using their computer in their home. So that's something important also to understand the use of technology. Here we have some nice early operations regarding cybersecurity in the nation states or a cyber war to be specific. One nice operation was the Clippership operation developed by the NSA. And in simple words, this operation was something that those guys in the NSA tried to incorporate like a chip into any landline for the for phones in most of the U.S. Homes to try to spy their communications. Obviously, that project, that operation didn't go well, didn't receive any approval from the Congress. But since the last leaks from Edward Snowden, we already know that, well, it's not Clippership, the operation that goes into operation. It was something different that catch not just communications over the landlines, but also communications over emails and over other communication methods. Moonlight Maze was an operation actually that's pretty important to understand. In the year 2000, Newsweek report created a series of reports regarding the Moon Maze story. In simple words, this Moon Maze operation was the process to collect or dump passwords from Unix and Linux servers, not just from the NSA, but also from the NASA, the Department of Defense, and a couple of other organizations in the United States. This operation was one of the first things that happened on the cybersecurity warfare arena, because, well, at this moment there is no indicator or there is no real accusation for a nation or for someone in another country that performed this attack, but it's supposed to be the Russians that performed this operation. And the tool that they used to launch this attack was something called Lucky 2. And one particular thing that happened with this operation is the attackers use a lot of proxies. So they infect computers around the world, especially in the United States, and they hide their real connection using those using those computers. So when they start, sorry, when the U.S. government start looking and monitoring the unauthorized access and the activities for on those networks, on the NSA, on the NASA, on the Department of Defense networks, they collect information not from the real attackers. They collect information from the proxies that the attackers are actually using. Another operation, the Solar Sunrise. This operation is important. But this operation has one interesting component here. First of all, this operation was a series of attacks to the Department of Defense computer networks. It launched on February of '98, and essentially they exploit a known vulnerability on their on one operative system on the network uh, of the Department of Defense, and they use or they start the attack following a series of steps. Actually, that's part of the interesting part of the operation. They try to determine or understand if the vulnerability that the attacker wants to exploit exists on the network. If the vulnerability exists, they exploit the vulnerability. They implant in a program like a backdoor or a sniffer to gather data or to get information from the network, and they actually leave the system, leave the backdoor and the sniffer there, and return later to retrieve the collated data. The attackers launch not just this attack for the Department of Defense network, but also for the Air Force, Navy, the Marine Corps, and also in other countries such as Israel, France, Germany, and they target some of the key parts of the network. They try to dump also passwords and documents from the technological or from the infrastructure on the infrastructure on the networks that they attack. But the interesting part here is who launched this attack. It was something, I don't know, maybe the terrorists, maybe a rogue state such as Iraq or something like that. Well, no. Actually, the attack was launched by two teenagers from California, and actually one of the teenagers was from Israel. So this is a good example of things that could happen, even if we are not dealing with the nation-state cyber command, and what things could happen if we do not secure our network. And the Bushot Yankee was categorized as the most significant breach of the U.S. military computers ever by the Secretary of Defense William J. Lynn, and this operation was uh, was part of a series of compromises on the year 2008, and then everything starts with a USB drive inserted into a computer in the Middle East military-based operation. They use a Trojan called Agent BTC, and the Trojan, the worm, keep or stay on the network for 14 months until the IT security staff from the military clean the infection. No one at this moment has attributed the attack. It seems like it's from China, but there is no real accusation right now on the courts. So that's one important and major security breach and security operation or cyber warfare operation from the last 10 to 15 years. Then we have some other examples. Desert Storm operation on the early 90s and the Bosnia War. Those two are actually wars, are not necessarily cyber wars, but there is a component for the cyber war there. For example, on the Desert Storm, some of the radars that Saddam Hussein used to try to alert their military forces that airplanes are coming to destroy bases or things like that. Some of the radars are destroyed or are tampered with fake information. So that's one of the things that the U.S. military command used to successfully attack some of the key military buildings or Saddam Hussein. And from Bosnia, there was a lot of cyber operations, but things like, for example, fake news, fake information delivered to militaries in the field, things like that was used in Bosnia.